All right, welcome back. Friday, May 15th, and a pretty nice, easy, quick day today. Made just over 2 hour and half past a brand new eval, which I literally bought this morning, which is nice. Using the Prb model. So we're going to go over the recap, right? So coming into the day, the overall trend's bearish, and it looks like we're going towards these lows when we open up about here, right? But if you've watched the model, how to trade the model, you should know that the higher time frame bias isn't super important, as with this model we are not predicting, we are reacting. Okay, with that being said, coming into the market, I see this high here. Right now, this high has tapped into an hourly and a 15-minute fair value gap, and it's been traded away from, right? And then obviously we've got these lows here. So my idea is that this high would want to stay intact if we want to run towards these lows, right? So obviously that's the rough idea. Okay, you think this high would want to stay intact because it tapped a fair value gap, we displaced away from it, and then obviously we're a lot closer to this low, which is a low resistance low, because we've got, you know, this low here kind of close to it, and obviously we are just trading overall in that direction, right? So with that being said, that's step one, right? We've identified our what we think is a protected swing high. Now again, if you've watched the video, you'll know this, but how do we confirm this is a protected swing high? Well, we see the range that it made get rebalanced, and then we see an entry model from that. So what I'm looking for off open, because we opened up right here, right? We actually opened up pretty much where we want it to be, but we wanted to see this range get rebalanced, right? Which if we mark out the fib, we can see it does get rebalanced to OTE. Again, not a necessity, but it's just nice. And we then want to see an entry model from there, right? Now you've got a few entry models you could have taken. We have one. What I took was we literally, once we put in this high, I thought this was going to be our new intermediate protected swing high, because it's the high that's rebalanced this range. And if we want to trade away from it, then we shouldn't want to trade back to it. I saw we had a bearish candle away from that, made a 1 minute bearish fair value gap, which we filled, rejected from, and closed below this bullish candle. And we didn't do it quite, but we almost closed below this IFVG, and we closed the CE of it. So that was where I got in on my shorts. I got a fill about there. What you could have done is waited for this bearish candle here, which inversed this gap, and had this CISD, and then you could have limit ordered the CISD, right? That would have also been a valid entry, but I got in a little bit earlier, right, with an early entry. So that was my entry, and then what do we see? I've gone the 30 seconds to make it a bit clearer, right? So I get in about here. We see us trade down, we see us come back up, and then we see us trade down, right? Now, technically, yes, with that we have rebalanced this range, right? But we've then traded this range, right? So if we're putting our stop loss to break even, say, which would be there, that means we would be putting our stop loss in this down closed range here that hasn't been rebalanced yet, right? You see this range from 935 to 939, that range hasn't been rebalanced. And if our stop loss is here, it is lying within that range, right? Yes, it's at a very high kind of OTE of that range, it's a high premium, but it's still inside that range, right? So we want this specific range to be balanced before we go break even, otherwise it's not worth it, right? What you can do here is you can, what I did do, if I can get my thing back here, is I trailed my stop. I'm not sure where my entry was now, but somewhere there, right? I trailed my stop to this high. Now the reason I was comfortable trailing it to this high was we displaced down, rebalanced the range, right? Got our entry. So technically I could have put my original stop here, but I put it here just for safety, right? Then trade down, rebalance this range, displace below this low to confirm. Okay, you can now trail your stop loss to here, right? We then have this range. Trade down, rebalance the range. Once we trade below this low, I then trailed my stop to this high here, right? And then that's when it hit TP. Okay, obviously this has moved, but my actual entry was like somewhere here. So when I trailed my stop to this high, I just put it break even because it was a few points. And then we come and we run and we hit our take profit. Now, obviously, yes, we do want this low. And as you can see, it does look like we still want this low with this high being attacked. Obviously, this isn't the best price action. Yes, we still have left this high protected. But obviously, if you were gunning for that low, then you would have got stopped break even because we had already rebalanced this range. But it's still going to play out, right? This was our overall protected high. This is our intermediate protected high. This is going to stay intact, it looks like, and we're going to run and we're going to hit the low, right? Luckily, I wasn't holding to that low because I didn't need to. And I wouldn't have done anyway as it was over 2R, right? Obviously, you are just going for 2R usually with this model. I held for a bit more just because it's what I needed for my eval. But 2R was about here, and then I just held it till like there, which also lines up with this 15-minute and hourly swing low here. So that was the trade. Like I say, the idea is still going to play out as this high protected. This high's rebalanced the range, stays protected, and then we trade towards the low resistance lows of this 4-hour and this 4-hour low, right? So that was today. Very easy, very nice trade, and that is the PRB model.